The silent adversary. The vastness of space had never felt so oppressive. For centuries, humanity had reached for the stars, establishing colonies across 12 systems, building orbital habitats that housed millions, and developing technologies that their ancestors would have considered miraculous. Earth remained the jewel of human civilization, but it was now just one world among many that humans called home. Commander Sophia Chen stood at the observation deck of Orbital Defense Station Aegis, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the outer reaches of the solar system. The blue light cast harsh shadows across her face, highlighting the tension in her jaw. Something was out there. Something that shouldn't exist. "Commander, we've received confirmation from the Proxima outpost," Lieutenant Kato said, his voice breaking the heavy silence. "The readings are consistent. It's not a sensor malfunction." Chen nodded, her expression unchanging. 6 days ago, long-range sensors had detected an anomaly at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, initially dismissed as cosmic background radiation, or perhaps a rogue comet. The anomaly had persisted, growing stronger by the hour. Now, it was unmistakable, a massive object moving through space at speeds that defied human physics. "Have we made contact?" she asked. "Not yet. All standard protocols have been initiated, but there's been no response." The Strategic Defense Council had been in emergency sessions since the anomaly was confirmed. Earth's military forces were on high alert, colonial defenses had been activated, and civilian transport between systems had been suspended. It was the most significant mobilization in human history, all because of a silent visitor approaching from the depths of space. "They're watching us," Chen said quietly, studying our response. "Commander, if they have the technology to travel at those speeds, they have the technology to hide their approach completely. They want us to see them coming." The realization sent a chill through the command center. This wasn't an accidental encounter. It was deliberate. A demonstration. 3 hours later, the anomaly resolved into a definitive form on the long-range scanners. It wasn't a natural phenomenon, but a vessel of immense proportions. The alien ship was unlike anything humans had ever designed. A massive structure that seemed to fold in on itself in ways that stretched the imagination, with surfaces that absorbed rather than reflected light. "We're receiving a transmission," Lieutenant Kato announced suddenly, his fingers dancing across the console. "Audio only, unknown language." "Run it through the translation matrix," Chen ordered. The command center fell silent as the computer processed the alien communication. When it finally played back through the speakers, the voice was eerily melodic, with perfect enunciation of human language. "To the governing authorities of Earth and its affiliated colonies, we are the Nexvari. Your expansion has been noted. Your boundaries have been marked. Your capabilities have been assessed." Chen exchanged glances with her senior officers. The alien voice continued without pause. "You have prepared your military forces. This is unnecessary. We do not require an armada to establish dominance. One vessel is sufficient." Admiral Wallace, the highest-ranking officer on the station, stepped forward. "Open a response channel." The communications officer complied, and Wallace cleared his throat. "This is Admiral James Wallace of the Earth Alliance. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization. Our defensive posture is standard protocol for first contact scenarios. We have no hostile intent." There was a long pause before the alien voice responded. "Your intentions are irrelevant. Your military preparations are noted but inconsequential. We have studied your species for decades. Your technology is primitive. Your tactics are predictable. One Nexvari vessel equals your entire fleet." The command center erupted in hushed whispers. Wallace's face hardened. "We prefer peaceful relations, but we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary." "Defense is futile," came the immediate reply. "Observe." The main display flickered to show one of Earth's outer system monitoring stations. Before anyone could react, a beam of concentrated energy, so bright it overwhelmed the sensors momentarily, struck the station. When the display cleared, Nothing remained but scattered debris. That outpost was 300 million kilometers from their position, Kaito whispered, his voice trembling. Our weapons don't have that range or precision. Admiral Wallace's face had gone pale. How many personnel were aboard? 19, sir. The next very voice continued, unaffected by the horror they had just inflicted. This demonstration was necessary to establish understanding. We do not seek your destruction, merely your compliance. Our vessel will approach Earth in 72 of your hours. Prepare your representatives for negotiation regarding the terms of your species' continued existence. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the oppressive silence in its wake. They just killed 19 people as a demonstration, Chen said, her voice tight with controlled fury. Admiral, we can't negotiate with them. Wallace nodded grimly. I agree, Commander. But what options do we have? You saw what their weapons can do. If they can strike with that precision from such distance. The Defiance, Chen said quietly. The Admiral's eyes widened. That's a research vessel, not a warship. It's the only ship we have with technology that might surprise them. Chen stepped closer, lowering her voice. They've studied our conventional capabilities, but Project Horizon has been developed in complete isolation. No transmissions, no digital footprint. They can't know about it. Project Horizon was the Alliance's most closely guarded secret, an experimental propulsion and weapons system that utilized principles of quantum entanglement in ways that had previously been theoretical. The Defiance was the testbed for this technology, a ship unlike any other in the human fleet. It's not ready for combat, Wallace protested. The systems are untested outside of simulations. We have no choice, Chen replied. If the next Very believe they can defeat our entire fleet with one ship, let's show them that one human ship can be equally surprising. After hours of debate in the Strategic Defense Council, Chen's proposal was approved. The Defiance was not a conventional warship. It was smaller, more agile, and equipped with technology that even most military personnel knew nothing about. As the lead researcher on Project Horizon before her military appointment, Chen was the natural choice to command it. This is a suicide mission, Admiral Wallace said privately as Chen prepared to depart for the Defiance, which was docked in a classified facility on the far side of the moon. Maybe, Chen acknowledged. But if they can destroy us with one ship, and we do nothing, that's suicide for our entire species. At least this gives us a chance. Wallace nodded reluctantly. The fleet will create a diversion, draw their attention. It should give you the opening you need. Thank you, Admiral. Chen hesitated, then added, if we fail. You won't, Wallace interrupted firmly. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. We're still here. There's something about us that keeps defying the odds. The Defiance was unlike any vessel Chen had commanded before. From the outside, it appeared unremarkable. A mid-sized research ship with minimal armaments. But beneath its conventional exterior lay technologies that pushed the boundaries of human scientific understanding. The crew was small, just 28 specialists, each personally selected by Chen for their expertise and adaptability. They had trained together for years, preparing for a mission they never expected to undertake. Status report, Chen ordered as she took her position on the bridge. All systems nominal. Commander, reported Lieutenant Maya Okafor, the ship's quantum systems specialist. Adaptive shielding is at full capacity. Entanglement drive is primed. Weapons. Phase disruptors are charged and ready. Confirmed Weapons Officer Dmitry Volkov. Quantum torpedoes are loaded and primed. But Commander, he hesitated, against a ship of that size, with their level of technology. We're not going to outgun them, Lieutenant, Chen interrupted. We're going to outsmart them. The Nexvari had made one critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had studied human military doctrine, human technology, human tactics. But they had failed to account for something less tangible, human ingenuity, human resilience, and the fierce determination that emerged when backed into a corner. As the Defiance broke orbit from the moon, moving away from Earth on a trajectory that would intersect with the approaching alien vessel, Chen addressed her crew. The Nexvari believe one ship is all they need to subjugate humanity. They're about to learn that one human ship is all we need to defy their expectations. They've studied our past, but they cannot predict what we're capable of becoming. The Defiance accelerated, its revolutionary drive system allowing it to move in ways that defied conventional physics. Ahead lay a confrontation with an adversary of overwhelming technological superiority. Behind lay everything humanity had built across the stars. In 72 hours, they would meet the alien ship that had so casually demonstrated its power. In 72 hours, the fate of human civilization would hang in the balance. And in 72 hours, Commander Sophia Chen and the crew of the Defiance would either make history or become a footnote in the final chapter of humanity's story. The impossible victory. The Nexvari vessel dominated the view screen, a behemoth that seemed to absorb the very starlight around it. From this distance, its true scale became apparent. It was the size of a small moon, with a surface that rippled and shifted like liquid metal. No obvious weapons were visible, no conventional thrusters or engine outlets, nothing that human military analysts could identify as vulnerable points. "My God," whispered Navigator Luis Reyes. "How do we fight that?" Commander Chen's eyes never left the display. "We don't fight it on its terms. Activate adaptive camouflage. Initiate quantum displacement." The Defiance's revolutionary systems engage. Conventional sensors would now register the ship as little more than space debris, a chunk of metal and rock drifting harmlessly. But more importantly, the quantum displacement drive began to shift the vessel partially out of normal spacetime, making it exist in multiple potential states simultaneously. "Earth Defense Fleet is moving to intercept," reported Communications Officer Annika Sharma. The diversion is underway. On the main screen, they watched as humanity's combined military might approach the Nexvari vessel, hundreds of ships ranging from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts. It was an impressive display of force, the culmination of centuries of technological development and military strategy. The Nexvari response was immediate and devastating. Without warning, energy discharges erupted from the alien vessel, not in beams or projectiles, but in expanding waves that rippled through space. Where these waves touched human ships, catastrophic failures cascaded through their systems. Engines died, weapons went offline, life support failed. It wasn't destruction, it was complete neutralization. "They're shutting down our entire fleet without firing a single conventional weapon," Lieutenant Okafor said, her voice tight with disbelief. "Some kind of advanced EMP technology." Chen nodded grimly. "As expected, they want to demonstrate their superiority before dictating terms." She turned to Volkov. "Are we affected?" "Negative, Commander. Quantum shielding is holding. They don't even know we're here." "Perfect." Chen leaned forward. "Begin active scanning. Find me a weakness." As the Defiance silently approached the massive alien vessel, the ship's advanced sensors probed the Nexvari technology. What they discovered was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations throughout their hull," reported Science Officer Elijah Kim. "It's like the entire ship is one integrated system. No discrete components, no separate engines or weapons arrays." "That's why conventional attacks would be useless," Chen mused. "There's no bridge to target, no engine room to disable. But there is a pattern to the energy distribution," Kim continued, excitement building in his voice. "It's cyclical, like a pulse. And there's a momentary vulnerability during the cycle reset." Chen's eyes narrowed. "How momentary?" 3 seconds, maybe 4. Not long enough for conventional weapons to penetrate their defenses, but long enough for a quantum torpedo detonation, Chen concluded, if we can synchronize it perfectly with their cycle. The plan took shape rapidly. The Defiance would need to get impossibly close to the Nexvari vessel, time their attack to the millisecond, and escape before the alien ship could respond. It was a plan with so many potential points of failure that any conventional military strategist would have dismissed it outright. But Commander Chen wasn't conventional, and neither was her ship. "Position us directly beneath their ventral surface," she ordered. "Maintain quantum displacement until we're in position." The Defiance maneuvered silently, invisible to the Nextferry sensors. Meanwhile, Earth's neutralized fleet drifted helplessly, their crews working desperately to restore systems while the alien vessel began broadcasting its terms of surrender. "Humanity will relinquish all military capabilities," the emotionless Nextferry voice announced on all frequencies. "All colonies will be placed under Nextferry administration. Earth will serve as a protectorate state. Compliance is mandatory. Resistance is futile." On the bridge of the Defiance, Chen listened to the terms with a cold anger. "Status: in position, Commander," Rice confirmed. "We're less than 2 kilometers from their hull. Quantum torpedoes locked on target," Volkov added, "synchronized to their energy cycle." Chen took a deep breath. This was the moment everything hinged on. Disengage quantum displacement. Full power to forward shields. Fire. The Defiance snapped fully into normal space, suddenly visible directly beneath the colossal alien vessel. Before the Nextferry could react, 3 quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously, each one carrying a payload designed to disrupt the fabric of spacetime itself. The torpedoes struck precisely as the alien ship's energy field reached its reset point. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then reality itself seemed to tear open at the impact points. The quantum detonations didn't damage the Nextferry vessel conventionally. Instead, they created localized pockets where the laws of physics temporarily collapsed. The effect cascaded through the alien ship's integrated systems. Energy patterns that had flowed smoothly for centuries suddenly encountered mathematical impossibilities, creating feedback loops that amplified exponentially. The ship's surface began to ripple more violently, sections phasing in and out of normal space. "It's working," Kim exclaimed. "Their systems are destabilizing." "Evasive maneuvers," Chen ordered calmly. "Full power to the entanglement drive." The Defiance pulled away as the massive alien vessel began to convulse. Waves of disruptive energy radiated outward, but unlike before, these were uncontrolled, chaotic, the death throes of a system consuming itself. "They're trying to stabilize," Okafor reported, monitoring the quantum fluctuations, rerouting energy, attempting to isolate the affected sections. "They won't succeed," Chen said with certainty. "Their technology is too integrated. The disruption will spread until—" She didn't need to finish the thought. On the view screen, the Nextferry vessel began to fold inward, collapsing along dimensional lines that human eyes couldn't properly process. It wasn't an explosion in the conventional sense, more like watching something simultaneously implode and expand into spaces that shouldn't exist. When it was over, where the mighty alien ship had been, there was only a distortion in space, a ripple that would take years to fully dissipate. Silence fell over the bridge of the Defiance. They had done the impossible. A single human ship had defeated an adversary that had neutralized humanity's entire combined fleet without effort. "Status of Earth's fleet?" Chen finally asked. "Systems are coming back online," Sharma reported. The Nextferry suppression field collapsed with their ship. Chen nodded, the tension in her shoulders finally easing. "Open a channel to Admiral Wallace." When the Admiral's face appeared on screen, the shock and disbelief were evident. "Commander Chen, how?" "Human ingenuity, Admiral," she replied with the ghost of a smile. "They studied our past and present. They failed to account for what we might become." She paused. "And they made one critical error." "What's that?" "They announced their intentions. Never tell humans something is impossible. We take it as a challenge." In the days that followed, analysis of the encounter revealed the true nature of humanity's victory. The Nextferry, for all their advanced technology, had fallen victim to their own arrogance. They had studied human military capability, but failed to understand the human spirit, the adaptability, the creativity, the sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat that had carried the species from stone tools to the stars. Word of the encounter spread quickly throughout human space. Colonies that had been preparing for subjugation instead celebrated an unexpected triumph. The Defiance and its crew became legendary, not because they had superior technology or overwhelming force, but because they had embodied the qualities that defined humanity at its best. 6 months later, a delegation from a previously unknown alien confederation made contact with Earth. Unlike the Nextvery, they approached openly, their communications respectful and cautious. "We have observed your encounter with the Nextvery Dominion," their ambassador stated during the first formal meeting. "For millennia, they have subjugated developing civilizations through technological superiority and psychological intimidation. No species had successfully resisted them. Until now." Commander Chen, now Admiral Chen, represented Earth at the negotiations. "We simply refuse to accept their assessment of our capabilities," she explained. The alien ambassador's expression shifted in what might have been their equivalent of a smile. "That, Admiral, is precisely why we wished to establish diplomatic relations. The galaxy expected the Nextvery conquer you with a single ship. Instead, you defeated them with a single ship. Such a species will make a formidable ally or a dangerous enemy."